Right, so I want to look at some different things. Firstly, Kris played some Zarya and some Reinhardt. So we'll start with the Zarya part, and then I can do the Reinhardt part. And I believe you also wanted to get some feedback on communications, right, Kris?
Yeah, basically the rundown.
Okay, then I'm gonna pass the mic on to Krille Blair, and you have control over this as well, so you can just select and pause whenever you feel like it.
Okay,
For the Zarya part.
Am I getting... Is the video just quiet, or...?
I think it might be muted if you haven't just opened it.
It automatically puts it on mute, but you can just unmute it.
Oh, it was just very quiet. I got it. It was just very quiet. Well, I can't really
Chris,
talk
did you make a transition to a new role, or?
No, I'm just a flex player on ranked. But I am also on a 100 SR losing streak in this game, so.
Yikes!
I think it ended up forward in this program.
Well, was it 100? No, it's 200 actually. I started at 3.
Gives you 10 seconds.
3, and I ended at 31050.
Yikes!
And I believe this is in 3050.
Chris, do me a favor and say the timer top.
Top right. What?
The 3 minutes and what?
Oh, 3 minutes and 48, okay. 47.
I'm in sync. Just want to know if we're all in sync.
Yep.
You scouted them? That's good. So what are they playing here?
Oh,
so you did everything that was fine. I was gonna say because Doomfist was about to go in and saving that bubble for if he's gonna combo whoever he's gonna go on is very good saving a bubble for that, but he fucked up his rollout, so it's good. I'm questioning if that was actually a... I actually don't mind that bubble. Because you call all the pellets and then the team helped you. Oh, so close. Because right now your bubbles are actually pretty decent here. Because you're not using them to aggro right now. Even though Ryan just died here, but he didn't really warn you.
Help Dorp.
So, the one thing I saw right there... Are you the only one talking in game right now, by the way?
Yep, I'm the only one.
Okay. Because if Mercy was decent, she would actually told... Yeah.
Well, she could have ignored them and it wouldn't have mattered. Nobody talks.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you bubble Torp here because everyone is aggroed on him right now. So that's gonna give you a a lot of energy. But also saving the bubble for Mercy when she goes for the rest, but she didn't warn you, so I don't blame you.
Huge rest, how did you manage that?
Well, she did get the rest off. Oh, didn't die! God, you're right. Legend.
Storm is mega?
So... Actually, I'm just gonna let it go through. But I didn't even mind that. That one right there. Ooh.
Oh, he Reaper me.
Yeah, be careful going into Reaper without a personal, that's fucking...
Holy shit.
Wait, did she just talk?
Yeah, that's the first thing she said.
See, I could barely hear what the fuck she said.
She said, I'm doing my best.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. So you want to play back corner here, since Ryan's and that is a hook. Jesus. Voice. Okay.
It's a classic Mercy mate.
Okay, so and the thing I normally do when I get out, for example, this situation here, I don't think you would survive anyways, but since you don't have a personal and you got an unlucky hook, you just got your team bubble. The thing I like to do is run in front of my Ryan and just bubble him. It doesn't even have to be Ryan, it could be anyone. So whoever's going to be standing in front of me, just give them the team bubble so they can soak up the damage. I don't know if that would have made a difference, but what the fuck, there you go. Since Ryan looked away, it was a very odd position.
Yeah, he dropped his shield and then looked away.
Yeah.
I like going back to sort of to his shield.
But being low and wanting to go back without a personal is just, it's okay to just give a bubble to the person who's in front of you and just let them soak all the damage and walk in front of them.
So instead of using my personal, I used my projected.
Well, there you didn't have your personal. But if Hawk hooked you and then you have your personal, of course you use it. And if you still have 100 ways to go until you reach your team, then you can tell Ryan, hey, meet me halfway there, bubble him, or make him to shield you or something like that. And you can get through. So he can escort you.
Yeah,
I think you have to work with what you had, and you didn't have a personal.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
I think what Krille's trying to say, in the absence of self-bubble, you can look to bubble someone else to body block for you. I think that's what I was trying to allude to.
Just following Doomfist. Always just look where the flankers are going to see if they're gonna have a pulse bomb, or if Doomfist is gonna do a fancy rollout.
Yeah, I got Ryan to push up to me, by the way, there, but he didn't do it.
So, right here, it's good that you called him up, because you're like, I'm so up front, I need help right here. So you just got your personal. The thing I would have done, just because you can ever trust people in comp, right? So just instead of standing where you are right now with your personal, so just use your personal and just get as far back, or just next cover. Because I don't think Ryan is gonna help you. Lucky you get nanoed there. Maybe we could try and force trance here, and then just get back. If maybe Anna could get a anti, if that's it. That was very odd. See if you got everything off there. Here, McCree just used his high noon. You just got your team bubble. I would personally just see if I could find them. Just scout anywhere, a high ground, something like that, and just give him a
I don't think I heard him in the moment. It
was very weak. It was very weak. But just supporting people. It's also like bubbling again too when he goes and stuff like that. Since McCree's so stationary, just bubbling him would be a little bit beneficial. Then he shoves against you, which is also, I guess, fine.
Ryan, you gotta be a lot less afraid of them, okay? It's a Reaper, I know, but if you stay away from far away, it's not gonna work that well. We have a Torbjorn. We need to do damage up close.
Yeah, he's very passive. I think it's just gonna be either a stall or reset here. I think we're just gonna farm here and then just let it go. Fish wants to go for it apparently. Unlucky hook. Here you just really can't do any much than just farm.
Is it best to have the sound on or not?
Oh my god, one sec. I have to turn up for your voice setting. What's up, man?
Is it better to have sound on or not while reviewing? I'm just curious.
I personally have sound because I want to listen to the call-outs, but I wouldn't think so, because unless you want to listen to Chris's call-outs, because the people here aren't really talking.
I do think having sound on is beneficial, so you can also maybe detect some audio cues that people may otherwise miss.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's my personal preference.
Try to hold him at the next door.
Okay. We don't really have to worry about ult check and stuff like that, since
he wasn't really getting value.
You're aware of that, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Since we just have to look on Zarya.
Quite easily if he's not good enough.
And you're also noticing the issues here that...
Yeah, sorry, I woke him up with my laser, but I...
Okay, so... I think I almost say to all my students is... Almost every single bubble you use should have a purpose, right? And the purpose shouldn't always be I want to farm energy. So of course this bubble wasn't the greatest, just because there's such a long distance from him and the enemy. So the only thing you really gained from this bubble was just energy.
Yeah, so, isn't it just in this case where there's such a long time before he's in danger that I can use one and then farm up another one before they get close to him?
Yeah, that is true, but it's just also depends on what flankers are, right? Because right now there's a Reaper in the back. So like we don't always, because there's a one point if Anna didn't hit this sleep and you use your team bubble right now, if she didn't hit the sleep, she's gonna say help me. Then you don't have your team bubble because you just used it on Ryan. Then you can't really peel, right? Because she was gonna be dead if she didn't hit that sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't want to say you should be scared to use your team bubbles, but you should always have a reason to use them, right? So not to just farm energies and stuff like that.
Yeah, sorry, I woke him up with my
So
laser.
you're saying the team bubble and the self bubble are completely different? Like, should have why should you use your self bubble then only for energy? And
the thing is, personally, I really like to use my personal for energy and then team bubbles for saving or just peeling for teammates.
That is often the case.
Personally, yeah.
It's something I see a lot. One thing to keep in mind as well, once you actually get to, because like in using Zarya as an off tank, like having 2-2 right now, you don't have the flexibility of Diva in terms of Matrix. So what I like to do with Zarya is definitely use the self bubble to just like get some energy, then use team bubble for a very specific purpose. Hopefully, still getting energy as a result. And then by the time you're high charge, you do not need two bubbles to really maintain a good charge level, you know. So then you can just
Yeah.
use your self bubble just to conserve your energy and make sure you deal relevant damage. Now you can use your team bubble to really keep your team alive and actually provide that tanking benefit of blocking crucial damage or crucial abilities. That's the way I like to see it used.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's generally the idea I have of it as well.
Yeah. For example, here, I think you're already going to look for it. You're just waiting for him to land. They're just going to go in bubble. That was just unlucky. But you had the perfect mindset there. You heard the ult, you're waiting for it, and then just using it. That's perfect. Reaper's in the back, no shift now. Okay, so this one was very hectic because you have your eyes on Reaper, and that's understandable. Because now Reaper or Ryan is going to get hooked, and that's a sound cue.
He's clearly not used to rank because he also swaps after this.
Yeah, he is. He seems very passive and stuff like that. But he's gonna get hooked. Because the thing is, Reaper is shooting at you and Brick right now, and Ryan is gonna get hooked. So, and you don't have a personal. So I hope that you and Brick should be able to keep each other alive if the Reaper comes for you. What I'm trying to say, I don't think Brick needs the team bubble if Reaper goes for you. You don't give it to her, I'm pretty sure. But hearing the sound cue, it goes very quickly though. But hearing the sound cue of Hook, especially as an off-tank, as D.Va and Zarya, you always want to listen for sound cues. For Hook, Anna that throws a nade, Ashe that throws the grenade, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to listen for that. That's mostly as D.Va, right? Because you have to eat stuff like that. But hearing a Hook, both as Zarya as D.Va, if you just bubble or matrix that person, is the difference between life and death.
Leave him asleep for a bit. Okay, now. No.
Yeah, and Reaper just pops him, which is fine. Okay, so you just have your personal here. There's a berry, I think there's a send back here, and your half an energy, and you have your grab here. We haven't seen send use Chant since your last grab, so chances are he probably has it again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're kind of stabilized, even though I think Ryan is slowly coming back now. So, question is that do we want to use this personal to push either to melt the Sen and use this on cover right here to push out to the other side. Use grab to just force out Chance and just push them even more back. We could also. Okay, Reaper is going in. I'm just gonna let it go through. That was very unlucky, but then again, the same thing. If a person ults, we want to bubble them. There is no way you could have bubbled him because it was on 1 second. Yeah, you got stunned the exact time you had 1%, one thing. So again, also Reaper is the same with McCree. They're so stationary. There's almost no way they're gonna get value off unless you bubble them. So just bubbling a McCree, I don't think he doesn't get CC with the Doomfist, does he? With a punch.
He's currently mid-punch, so I think he dies.
Yeah, but if you give him a bubble, if let's say in theory you give him a bubble if he gets punched, he doesn't.
No, it doesn't get CC then. No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So just bubbling McCree, just everyone who ults, let's just say that, right? Nano, Ryan, stuff like that. Just bubble them to give them more sustain. Because this Reaper just got. Yeah, obliterate. And that's fine because Ryan wants to go in and use his hammer. Unlucky that right click didn't go in because that was actually looked pretty juicy. Oh, there it is again. Okay, I think I just quickly heard. I noticed that you popped your personal exact time when Doofus punched you and you there. And then of course you get hooked and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now we see Doofus is behind people again. And if you let's say
you actually turn around to look at where the Doomfist is going, because I'm planning on using my personal to protect it. But then I get hooked.
Yeah, that's unlucky.
I should have taken a step further to the left or to the right to get in cover. Well, the points dislocated at me, basically. I was behind the shield.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fat challenge. Is that gonna afford Chance?
Keep your shield in front of me. I know I might be really aggressive here, but you gotta be as aggressive as I am, otherwise we won't win.
Yeah. That sounds good, just to tell him that you two should be on the same page. That's very important. That's a good bubble. Also, because then again, there's only 2 people on point, and if it's stalling and stuff like that, I would say it's okay to just give a bubble, because that person needs to survive.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that bubble wasn't that bad. That team bubble. And we didn't get the
mistake of waking him up, yeah.
Why is he saying avoid me?
Yeah, okay, this is where this dude starts soft throwing, I feel.
Okay.
I just easily avoid him as well.
Low level
See, you
account
told me to.
plays Torbjorn Reaper on Route 66. Bonkers.
Yeah, that's mostly the thing I think about when I play Zarya, is mostly just bubble management. Because they can be so crucial. Bubbles and stuff like that. Of course, tracking is something else, but that's not really a thing I take in consideration when I play Zarya. It's mostly just bubbles, how important they are. And sometimes positioning, but I don't really blame your positioning here. Because you and the Ryan was not on the same page. And I don't blame you for that. But I just want to, like, especially for bubble, yeah. So the thing I told you here is like personals goes for energy, and then let's always have a reason to use team bubbles, and not just use them because we can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if your teammate is gonna ult like Reaper McCree or something like that, you want to bubble them just to give them more sustain and time to just use their ult. That's the only thing I'm thinking about right now. And of course, if you know Tracer has pulse bomb and stuff like that, you want to say, and you don't want to be completely passive, but just like, okay, I know Tracer has pulse bomb. I want to stay a little bit back, but not too much. It's like I don't want to play too passive and serve with 0 energy, but just be aware that she has pulse bomb and stuff like that, or be aware there's a flanker and save my bubble if it's necessary, right? Same if they're gonna grab the Tracer pulse bomb, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna have my bubble ready for when this happens, stuff like that. Same with goats. If you're gonna do D.Va grab combo, it's like I'm gonna save my bubble for when they're gonna do that and stuff like that. I'm trying to say bubble are very important. They're very important bubbles. Okay.
That was some Zarya gamage.
Is it Ryan now?
I believe so. I quickly scanned for the VOD, but Chris, I could only see it quite late. That seems like Reinhardt.
I'm not really a main tank.
Ooh,
Okay.
some dynasty skin. I'm sorry, Chris. I gotta go.
Yeah, unlucky. There's no other Zarya playing this, right, Chris? Or is it swapping back and forth?
I'm not sure completely.
We'll see then.
To be
I know
honest.
Krille has to go at some point, so either way, thanks for stopping by. If you need to go at some point, Krille, that's totally fine.
I can just mute myself for now. I can just clean up a little bit. I have some
Sure.
plates I have to get upstairs.
I think I might switch back to Zarya after this
We'll
round.
see.
I'm not sure though.
Or like a 4-3.
In a while.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Krille's still running. Either way, I'll be happy to look at like the main tank when it comes for a bit.
Sure.
Yeesh. Alright, so we're playing Reinhardt Hammond. What was the rest of the comp?
And
Anna
Zen.
Zen and Hanzo Ash. Okay, that's interesting, to say the least. You're not too comfortable.
In
on
hindsight,
which
I could have gone DPS here. In hindsight, I could have gone DPS, but I
Yeah.
believe at this time I was not aware yet of triple DPS being a good with him
Yeah.
nowadays.
It's a bit weird, like in terms of patches and like comms. But one of the things that I always like to keep in mind is that it's going to be hard for your team to help you now because you do not have a Lucia, you do not have a Zarya, and you do not have a D.Va. So
No,
you have to play really.
no
mindful
I
of
think
the rest of the
I
damage.
also end up struggling a lot on this.
Yeah. Okay, so they have Moira,
They have Ash.
they have Ash.
Get behind me, Anzo.
Get the first pick, nice. Orisa Roadhog again. Right, bit of an unfortunate fire strike, but you always want to make sure that you hit it there. There's a Doomfist top left. Right. So, like, you kind of know the enemy team comp by now. How would you think that you want to play this out yourself?
I myself would want my team to get into the gas station and wait for them to drop down.
So, like, pushing it underneath, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm just gonna stand below them, hope my team catches my meaning and that pushes up to me. But they end up just taking poke damage and getting picked off.
Yeah, so,
And I
like,
just stand there waiting.
initially just, like, kind of stand behind a payload for cover until it's, like, actually reach the gas station. Then we shield through to, like, being underneath the gas station. And then you can still push the payload from there without taking damage. That's, like, the plan you have.
Yeah, that's the plan I had as well. I might have been a bit hasty. I walked a bit further ahead of the payload here.
Yeah.
I think that's what I did wrong here.
In part, but also like not communicate. Like it's a good strategy definitely, but if you don't communicate it to your team, it's going to be harder for them to follow up on it. But seeing as you have Doomfist and whatnot, how do you see yourself playing with your current team?
Oh, well, I feel like I can't really do much against Doomfist as Ryan. Maybe swing at him once or twice when he goes in, but I can't stop his kill potential that quickly. Primarily shield from the Roadhog damage and the Orisa spam.
Okay. So if they have a Doomfist, if we look at our own team comp, right, we have Ana who can somewhat deal with it. We have Hanzo, Ashe, and Zenyatta. Especially those three are quite vulnerable to Doomfist. It's important not to... It's not all to blame to yourself, of course. But one thing is, can look to just be really mindful of this Doomfist, because if we push up here aggressively, as you can see, our backline is super exposed to any Doomfist. Especially if our team isn't fully aware of like the push we're looking to make. I don't know if you're like super familiar with this, but one of the things I like to do, or like to do as a main tank, if you will, when I was still actively playing, is tell people what to do. And it can be very elaborate noise. You just say like, follow me, push through here, or whatnot. It's not too bad to bark out a command. Yeah, just looking to reset, that's unlucky. One of the things they have Reaper as well. One of the things, okay, so by now we definitely have to keep our distance really, because this support line that they have is really hard to deal with as Reinhardt. Because they're just way too slippery to have self-sustaining crowd control. You can never really get close to Reaper either, so that's really like a bit of a no-go. Doomfist flies all over the map, can't really do much about him. You always have to respect Rodok's hook and like crowd control self-sustain, and you could look to overrun Orisa, but you can always fortify, halt you back, so you really wouldn't need a Lucia, so we have to play very defensively if we're playing Reinhardt here. So then, we get to the next push. One thing that you can maybe look to do...
Switch to D.Va next time I get into this situation.
I mean, maybe you, but also, let's be fully honest, your team is not really running the ideal comp by any means.
No.
So it's not entirely up to you. One of the things you could look to do more on an individual level is definitely bait out Rodok hooks a bit more. And you can do very similar things with Reaper, like you can just time your shield mechanic to, well, the rhythm of his shots. You can do similar things with Ana, like watching her offhand, her left hand, to see if it goes for a nade or sleep, blocking that. And with Doomfist, you always want to make sure that you block the seismic slam and maybe neutralize the, it's called the charge that he has on his right click. Is then you actually neutralize the effect without getting slammed like down yourself, so your team can focus him down if you're in a good spot. Especially when you're playing more defensively. Because then their Doomfist is stuck in enemy territory and you're with your team. Both of you are stunned.
Follow me.
So Rodok is on low ground, their Doomfist is there, we're having fun. But definitely one of the things I'd recommend you do
Get inside.
is just send a fire strike as soon as you can almost.
Wait.
Yeah, but I call out for people to follow me, but
Yeah.
the nanometer does not avoid that and goes alone.
Yeah.
I heard him coming, I missed the charge.
Okay, now I have to play
close.
shield for
Trying to block this.
your break doesn't,
Yep.
yeah. This is like the difficulties of solo queue, but definitely call out those things. I think with Doomfist, it's a bit weird in that case, because I don't think you could have like really counter-charged him that easily. Like, he charges you here once, it's nice. But then when he goes back around the corner,
Fuck. This is why you have to be in voice chat.
it's really hard to actually mitigate this like effect. So if you cannot neutralize the right click, one of the things you want to go for is pin him as he goes for one of your other teammates. And then
Stay
here,
close to me.
yeah, this is just kind of unlucky that your break doesn't really know the mechanics too well, but yeah.
Do one.
Like, I always tell him to like get behind me or like push in a certain direction, like push back, something like that.
One.
It maybe makes it like a bit more explicit to them, but on the other hand, they could also maybe know themselves how the Doomfist ultimate works
Yeah,
with
my
regards to
shield's breaking
shielding.
here. I gotta fall back. My shield's down.
One of the things you could maybe look to do,
Don't go in, guys.
it's a bit weird because Hammond is on one hand a hero that doesn't require much resources. On the other hand, he's also a hero that can synergize relatively well with most of the other tanks in the game. In the case of Hammond Reinhardt, you're definitely looking at combining your like the power drive and the fire strike, because it just lines people up quite easily. And in the same way, you can do something very similar with Charger. If you're like in very much like close quarter combat, you can look to just power drive and then like hit them with Reinhardt. That will work.
How? Okay, diamond for you, I guess.
Okay, we're looking a bit indecisive here. Try to run me through. What was the plan of your engagement here with the charge?
Okay, first of all, I'm stressed. I expected the hammer to get 0 value there. He went in alone, I saw him running ahead, and he just got 2 picks on both supports. Believably. Okay, diamond for you. Afterwards here, I kind of fuck up mechanically, but I want to charge the Rodok, and I fuck up.
I see. A bit distracted, yeah. One thing you can always look to do is just angle it a bit more differently, so actually slide off the payload. And I wouldn't be surprised with Hammond's getting a lot of individual value, because that's just how the hero works.
How? Okay, diamond for you, I guess.
So yeah, it just surprised me that they even got the Moira. The end I can understand, but
I can kind of not really understand both, but yeah. A bit of a waste of
expected
shadow.
the Rodok to live.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the Rodok to be low.
It's a bit interesting, but at least had 2 picks on both their supports, so you should have just been able to draw the fight out. I wasn't really needed to shatter. But yeah, unlucky about like the charge mechanic, but yeah, that's just like kind of practice. If you angle it a bit more towards the Rodok, you'll actually slide off the payload wall rather than crash into it.
I have to ult choke.
Okay, so now I have to get scouting where they are. We see one of them. Unlucky. Ooh, that's a risky charge, boy. So if you're looking for like a charge like that, when the enemy's just getting out of the gate, you also have to angle it very sharply. So you have to like not go across from here to here. You have to go across from like here to here, because then you actually make sure that the sideline that they have on you is like very limited, and it's very hard for them to get a good angle on you. In this case, Zarya just walks out and it's like, oh damn, that's a Reinhardt. Let me hook that one. I'd definitely be very careful around.
In my mind, I thought if I had been a half a second sooner, I would have been able to charge him when he got around the corner instead of when he being in route still.
Yeah, but the approach like that just doesn't work too well. It's much easier if you take a sideward angle and like pin him into the side of the walls he gets out. If you hit him, that's fine. If you like knock him back, at least you hold the choke and he cannot really move through. And it's much harder for him to hook you in that case. So the initial setup is just a bit awkward and it's not really in your favor.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a timing error.
That's the angle. Getting the rest of down is a good focus. Ooh, that's
he get booped up. That's all.
Yeah, it was a good play. That's just like you need to be very on board with your Hammond here. It's a lot of synergy, but also just communication. But it can be hard to do with solo queue players. Right. So, because you're like looking to do a bit of communication as well, what are the things that you're specifically looking to coordinate when talking to your team?
No, right now I'm gonna in a second call out for them to come over to me because I want to take this high ground. For some, I don't know what exactly. I believe my thinking at the time was they have a Orisa Rodok. They're gonna want to set up on that bridge over there. That's my mindset. Like they'll set up on top of that bridge. They'll have the Reaper drop down from the right high ground over there and drop behind us, and they'll have just the general DPSs and healers behind the Orisa shield on the garage. So it's like if we move up to the mineshift right now and we just leave our Anna on the payload, she can still heal us. Primarily, mostly, and if not, at least we can test the high ground, so they're more hesitant to take it, and we can have more free payload time.
I see. So you're mostly looking to like coordinate the engagements of your team, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not per se looking at like target calling one. Like, is that the specific thing that you're looking to improve on, or any other facets?
Well, I'm really just too focused on playing Reinhardt correctly to really say
More
much.
about the comms, yeah.
Because I'm not comfortable on Reinhardt, so I don't really talk a lot during fights as a result.
Yeah.
In between fights, I'm fine. During less hectic.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that you can always look to do outside of team fights as well is just coordinate and manage like ultimates and track them.
Okay, fine enough. Let's go in.
And here I do a stupid thing.
I mean, it's a bit weird because if your team all followed you there, it would have been kind of okay. They didn't, so it gets kind of messy. I think after the Rodok hook is down, it's a good call that we like ideally can just get back to their team now. But at least you blocked the Rodok hook. I can see the why you'd like want to charge back. Is like, okay, my team is not with me. I need to get back. Yeah, this is just like kind of rough, but let's be fully honest here. If your team actually followed you, this would not have occurred. If you had a Zarya, this would not have occurred. If your Hammond played with you, this would not have occurred. If you had a Lucia, this would not have happened. So it's a bit weird, but on the other hand, it's also just down to the team not really coordinating that well as you maybe like, even when you did call it.
I should have moved up to the corner earlier there. I was hesitating too much in the backline, expecting the Doomfist to go in.
Potentially.
Yeah, I was feeling like I was wasting my shield, so I just fall back.
That's good, yeah. Like, there's no fight going on, so making sure to save your shield HP when there's actually a fight going on is fine.
Help me with this hog.
This is good. Getting the shadow on hog is perfectly fine. This is good. We should be able to win this. Nice. Right, so this is like a bit of an interesting one, but it's definitely okay to I imagine you wanted to go for something bigger, but if you at least get the kill out of a solo shatter, it's kind of fine here. In this case, they put a lot of resources into saving their Roadhog, and we only expended like one extra ult, like Hanzo ult and Shatter versus their Reaper ult, so it's kind of fun that we won this fight cleanly. You could like it's something that you're maybe not too familiar with, but a lot of Reinhardts will look to counter charge when the enemy uses a Shatter. So
Shatter here, so push up with me. Help me with this hog.
So in this case, you could look to like bait out the charge, but there's maybe some nitty-gritty things what I oftentimes do then. If I land a Shatter, I jump up on an angle to make it seem like I'm going to jump, and then I actually just put my shield back down and commit to a certain angle. When the enemy Reinhardt's like pinning in, then he'll miss the pin and you can charge the Roadhog on the ground. But there's like more specific nitty-gritty things. By the way, like I said, we do get like the good focus down here.
Above us?
Yeah, not too familiar with like target calling here yet, but I'm sure you're quite familiar with how to do it if you ever feel comfortable in implementing it.
Yeah, I know the order of how you target kill and stuff, and I'm quite good in my head about priority order, like target priority.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that you can also tell your team. Which target to focus down and why, maybe. I would definitely look to like recharge my shield there, because we're about to start a fight. AK, the Doomfist is on payload. And we do not have our shield above 1200 by any means. The only one that needs protection now is your Ana, really. Okay, nice.
Yeah, that's why I go look for her. The moment I hear it, or
I have no clue what the Doomfist was doing here. He gets one pick on 100, that's nice. Push payload.
I believe he's behind us right now.
Yeah, he is behind you, he's contesting a payload in a second. So this is like kind of okay from the Doomfist part. Then he goes to Meteor Strike. Okay, we're peeling back, but this is good. I have no clue what he's... Oh, the Widow just grappled away, didn't she? Or the Ana got hooked. That's who was going for. Okay, now it makes sense. He was going for the Ana, but she got hooked out.
Brick, I need you to stay next to me, Brick.
Ooh, yeah, did you hear the audio cue or no?
The charge? Yeah, but I was in my menu.
I see. I mean, you always want to look to rotate around corners then so he can't hit you, or at least counter charge. That's some classic fun right there. It's good for a full reset. I mean, someone at this map is going to go in a 3-3 and then like more pushes. To be fully honest, your team comp is a bit wonky right now, so I guess it's really going to be up to your DPS and your Hammond to get some picks going.
Rally up, rally up, rally up.
Yeah.
Okay, push in now.
We're left with the Dragon consume us. Yes. Alright, so this is a bit difficult, I imagine, to like kind of see your own role in this case. One thing you could look to do when you're setting up for things like a Hanzo ult or a minefield is that potentially these ults like don't even kill someone, but they can at least split someone off and allow for them to focus down. So one of the things that I'd look to do as Reinhardt, if I have those ultimates on my team, I'd want to either like use some crowd control like a charge or something to make sure that someone is in the area of effect of a Dragon Strike or a minefield, or would look to capitalize on the split that minefield and Dragon Strike can create. So that if there's like 2 people on one side of the Dragon and 4 on the other, I can just focus down on the 2 that are up front.
Yeah, the Dragon was a bit further ahead of me. I tried to push in with it. You did hear me call it out as well,
Yeah.
push in now, because I saw the Dragon going in. I was like, hey, that will push up some space, but they already fell back for enough to not really...
This gets a bit rough because your team used them a bit early, and in the absence of Lucio or like an actual off tank that helps you, it's really hard to make those plays.
Hanzo, stay back, stay back. Group up with me.
Should be kind of fine here. Oh, we definitely have to be mindful of the enemy team's Earth Shatter now, because I think it's going to land soon.
I'm aware of it, I believe.
But, do you have any mind games that you particularly fancy or no?
Sorry?
Do you have any mind games that you particularly fancy or no?
Well, I wouldn't say I have any particular patterns. I just come up with one on the spot. Like right here, my idea was to just go aggressive on him. Like I feel like I'm like he must think I have Shatter. I was thinking at this point because I'm pretty close. So I was like, I'll just go swing at him a couple times, see if I can bait out his shield or his fire strike, or bait out his Shatter. I mean, and then block it when he thinks I go for mine. Because at this point, I know he probably thinks I have Shatter, so I can probably get some free ultras on him because he's gonna be too afraid to drop a shield or fire strike.
In a sense, but you're also being very communicative of the fact that you do have a Shatter at least coming up, because you're suddenly starting to mind game, which is something that you haven't really done before. Catch me, or?
Yeah, okay, I see that. Yeah.
One of the things that I personally like to do when mind gaming, I can see if it works for you, is I still like to use fire strikes almost like as a taunt, if you will, by still standing like around corners. So even if he decides to shatter when I use my fire strike, I can still be around cover. In this case, we get a bit lucky. If we just like use the fire strike a bit more to this corner, we can definitely have the mind game going. If you're like, yeah, I do have the fire strike ready, so you can definitely look to shatter now, but I'll be around the corner, so it will not even hit. And otherwise, we're just looking for like full commitments from the enemy Reinhardt. But I guess it's just a really precarious thing, and everyone plays it differently. Definitely look to like be very mindful as well of what your own habits are in the mind games, because what you see with many people that don't really play Reinhardt that much is that they like know the core mechanics of Reinhardt and the core role that he plays in a team, but like I'm shielding up for my team and pushing for chokes and whatnot, and then they see the mind game as like something entirely different, where it's like, oh, that's something that's only relevant when they have the ultimate up. But that is super telling, because then you'll see a Reinhardt that isn't even comfortable on Reinhardt always shielding, suddenly he's going to start dancing around, dropping his shield, literally telegraphing like, yeah boy, I have my shatter up, I'm trying to mind game now. So be very much aware of what your own mind game would usually look like and try to read the enemy mind games as well.
Gotta play more around my shield, guys. You guys are splitting up and going on your own. It's when Doomfist kills you. Doomfist thrives in 1v1s. You don't want to fight him 1v1.
I'll give a shatter up now, that's nice. I think your team's not entirely ready to
They have
push with
shadow,
you yet.
so I'm gonna try to block it.
Your team's definitely not ready to push for Vienna. Yeah, one guy like just swap and spawn, so it was definitely telltale that you guys weren't ready to engage yet. Oh, that's some big what the fuck is going on here, okay? I didn't expect that engagement at all, but it's super messy. And it's kind of okay if you just tell your team to like get the fuck back. Because it was like a decent shatter, definitely, and I like the fact that you used the Reinhardt's charge into your Hammond's crowd control to like to your advantage.
No one's buying me.
But it was so very hard for your team to follow because you had 2 in spawn essentially. And the entire engagement prior was just not really organized. Right, we get a pick.
Oh, why does he keep going in alone?
Unlucky. Nice, get a pick. I was about to say, if in case where the enemy team has like a relatively immobile backline, like they have now, especially with a hero like Zarya who doesn't have immediate self-sustain, it can be quite helpful if you just send a fire strike in his direction, because at least forces some like of their abilities out, or maybe even kill them like here. And if you bring them down to Havoc, maybe Doomfist can just finish off the job, so that's some good focus there. I'm gonna go Diva. And right now it's just like panic, let's touch the cart. Hammond just dies, okay. One of the things you could look to do is cycle tank contestants. So in the case where your Hammond is still on point, you can look to play it a bit chill. And then come in when he needs help or when someone else needs to contest. It's a classic thing from like playing non-goats versus goats comp on like a payload map where you need to go to the payload, or like a 2CP map where you need to drop on point. Nice, you ate the high noon. Good focus there on like getting the high noon. It's a bit lucky to get hit by the fire strike. Could have maybe been a bit more mindful of like the enemy's whereabouts, but at least we noticed the fact that we were being it's called Whole Hawk, and then we used our abilities to actually get back and fight and eat the high noon, which we also noticed. And after that, it's unlucky.
Okay, just avoid.
So a couple things to like be mindful of. One of the things that you do, like because you're not really too familiar with playing Reinhardt, it's very telltale whether you have your shatter or not, or whether you believe the enemy to have shatter. Because whenever you think there's like an ultimate online, you suddenly start to mind game, which is something that you otherwise don't really do as much. So in regular fight scenarios, you just have your shield up like quite properly, and then when there's like an ultimate game going on, you're like suddenly starting to mind game. So it's a bit telegraphic when you believe the enemy has shatter when you have your own one, or at least one to make it seem so.
So would it be better for me to always be mind gaming or always be acting like a shield bot?
I would say you just always want to use your shield, like not really non-stop. You just always want to like differ between, am I taking cover here? Am I using shield? Am I using a fire strike? Am I doing this? Because firstly, if you use your shield all the time, it'll be super telltale.
Because from this fight, what I notice is when I know the enemy team has shatter, I start taking pot shots at the Reinhardt with my hammer.
Yeah, one of the things as well, yeah. Which is the classic thing of like the mind game. Put your shield up, put your shield back down, etc., etc. I would say like you're not really looking per se to like only shield, because if you want to only shield, I would just say get back to spawn, swap to Orisa, and well, have a fun time shielding. With Reinhardt, if you like only shield for a very long period of time, you'll just lose your shield instantly, and you cannot really make the push that you want. Ideally, you just want to like alternate between shielding, pushing up, and even hitting someone to actually create some more space. Because if you can, let's say if you like want to push up using only your shield, you're just going to waste a lot of shield HP, and then you suddenly have to still contest for a lot of area. Whereas if you hibernate between shielding, or alternate between shielding, then taking some cover and getting some swings in, you can still create a lot of space. You can still push up and apply pressure, but you don't have to waste your entire shield. So you can always block like a crucial hook, or you can always block some crucial damage, rather than just taking damage for the sake of doing so. I must say this VOD is a bit difficult to look at, because your team is all over the place, both in terms of compositions that they're running. Both
Yeah, that's the thing. That's every game in Diamond. Like every game is like this, so there's never really any good like.
It's a bit difficult, yeah. A couple things that you want to be mindful of still. I noticed as well when you were playing with the what's it called? When you were playing Zarya, you always mentioned that you want your Reinhardt to push up aggressively, which I think is like surely a good call against an Orisa comp. So you want to make sure they cannot set up their spam. but you always want to be very mindful of the fact that it's very hard to push up aggressively without a Lucio as a Reinhardt Zarya.
Yeah, true, but for my mindset at the time, it was just we were giving up corners we could have still hold.
Yeah, true.
I felt like the Reinhardt was holding a corner back from what we could hold.
Yeah, true. Your Reinhardt was playing like he had an Orisa with more damage. It was not ideal, but on the same hand, it was also very difficult for a team to actually make that play. But it's important.
Yeah, because the thing is, at the time, I was dealing with having a DPS, I believe, was the Hanzo and Torb?
Yeah.
And the enemy team had...
Doomfist.
What did they have? They had Doomfist and Reaper.
Yep.
And an Orisa. So I was like, the only way we're gonna win the fight is if we get that Torbjorn into their Orisa line. Like, behind that shield, make him do some right-click damage. Do that
in a
Hanzo...
sense. But do keep in mind as well, Orisa Doomfist comp is super good at splitting enemies up. That's always something you want to be mindful of. But yeah, that's just like kind of the curse of solo queue, I imagine. Because your team was just not on the same page and didn't really have the ideal composition. One of the things
the shield break was really good on that TPS duo. Like if Torb and Hanzo both focus the shield, it worked a lot. But we do need to be able to put pressure on the resident to make her put down the shield sooner and stuff like that. Because
I mean, in a sense,
all the time.
In a sense, but do keep in mind, Orisa's not really like bothered to use a shield to block like a Reinhardt swing into it. It's used to like actually create an angle to push through and to block long range damage. As soon as people get up to Orisa's like face, it's not too handy for her to shield. Like maybe you block like a bit of Zarya damage, but it's not really too big a deal. It's not the main focus of the shield there. And one of the things that I noted on like your Reinhardt, it was a bit difficult for you to like kind of see how you wanted to play it. I must admit it's a bit difficult to play Reinhardt in a composition. It would have potentially been easier with Winston or D.Va, whatnot, or even a triple DPS comp of solo tank Hammond for all I care. In the situation that you were in, you couldn't really push up close to Orisa Roadhog because you just lacked the additional shielding from a potential Zarya D.Va and didn't have speed boost. So one of the things I would do in that case with a team that's very slow and immobile, if you're still playing Reinhardt, try to protect your backline from their Doomfist going in. That's where I saw something as well. You weren't really too keen on blocking Roadhog hooks at the start, although you got better at it as the match progressed. We also weren't too keen on like at least attempting to outplay the Doomfist. So one of the things you can look to do, like I said, if you're playing more defensively, like with your team, and he decides to charge in, you can counter charge him. So then you guys like both get knocked on the ground, stunned essentially. But because you have 3 of your teammates standing around you, and their Doomfist is like deep in enemy lines, there's only one person who's gonna get out of it alive, and that'll be you.
I think what I really was like, I was afraid of if I were to counter charge the Doomfist, I would get hooked.
If you played defensively, it shouldn't be an issue. Because then Erotic also has to like walk miles in front of their shield to actually get to you. And let's be fully honest, if they decide to, if their Doomfist like charges in from like deep behind out of nowhere, and Erotic decides to hook you, if you still have like an on or at least a break armor pack, you should be able to live through it to some extent. But at least you're putting in so many resources to actually attempt to kill one person on your team. Whereas if you don't shield your Zenyatta or whatever from the Doomfist at all, you're just gonna get picked off for free. And that's where like the interplays of Doomfist kind of come up, because you can neutralize the charge, although it's like a bit difficult. You can block the seismic slam where you like punch into the ground so you do not get sucked up. The uppercut's like completely like there's no counterplay to that essentially, so yeah, you just have to like suck the one up or just dodge it. So one of the things I like to do is I want to like always try to neutralize the charge ability, unless he's like literally charging into nowhere, then I'll just like happily dodge it. If he then goes for Seismic Slam, I'll try to block it, but if I cannot block the Seismic Slam because he's going for one of my teammates, I like to just instantly charge in the direction of my teammate, because with a bit of luck, I actually pin the Doomfist and kill him. And if not, I can at least crowd control him so that he cannot really finish up on his combo too easily. And with Uppercut, there's nothing that you can do against Uppercut. There's just like no counterplay, no proper movement for you, so that's like the one you really have to suck up. And you did like the good thing on shielding the Doomfist ultimate, but yeah, your team was just not like, I don't know, savvy enough to actually follow up on it. Any other questions from your end here?
I'm just processing. I don't think I have any at this moment.
Yeah, if you have something coming up, that's fine. If you want to like have more Reinhardt VODs submitted, that'd be like, oh cool, I'm happy to review. It might be like a bit more helpful if you have a game that's maybe making a bit more sense, because it's always like you do come across these type of things in solo queue, but they're not always representative of how the game is usually played. So I can imagine it's a bit difficult for you to like actually find a proper playstyle for almost any hero, because the composition was just so wonky.
Yeah, honestly, like it's either gonna be these kind of comps or it's gonna be triple quad DPS. That's what you expect in Diamond.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we'll just hope that some good games get through. I haven't seen who is still in the voice lobby yet. Any other questions from Nero or Tyrant? The rest has left us. Feels bad.
Nope.
Nope.
Question.
Not really.
Unlucky.
It's only that, to be honest, like, even though you say this shit, like, the stuff like, you know, the weird and wacky comps in Diamond, etc. You honestly, like, okay, so I've seen your hit scan capabilities, right? Just try to carry games with your hit scan. Like, that's the really only thing I can really say. I
From
know
a
your
solo
hit
queue
scan
perspective,
is...
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think you can do really well with hit scans in Diamond.
I think one of the
So
things you have
just
to
try
look
that,
at as
and
well.
yeah, and as well, quad DPS is more meta than you think.
Yeah, I think one of the things you want to look at as
And
well.
of course, of course, it might be that you're running as a solo tank like a Hog or a solo healer like an Ana, but you just, it's the shit that happens in GM as well. Still,
Yeah. One of the like things that I find really sad, if you will, is that most of the main tanks to actually set them up for success requires a lot of resources. Whereas if you're playing, like, there's a lot of DPS heroes or even off tanks and supports that just are much less of a resource drain, and they're actually quite autonomous, if you will. So in that sense, it could like potentially be very helpful if you have a talented hit scan playing a hit scan hero that doesn't need that much setup. But there's like just the weird balances such as that don't make that much sense to me in Overwatch, but it's kind of the sad truth.
Yeah, it's also just that I went on like a 200 SR losing streak playing DPS before this game.
Oh yeah,
and
so like, okay, I want to make it right by filling.
Yeah, and I also had like 30% win rate on Widowmaker this season so far.
Solid unlucky.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm just gonna stick to McCree until I get into High Diamond, because I feel like even though Widowmaker is more effective than McCree a lot of the times, I just feel like I get killed by like just unawareness from my teammate. Like I run towards my healers, like, hey, I need healing, there's a monkey on me, or I put a poison mine behind or backline and the Genji trips it, and I'm like, Genji's behind us, he's going for me, and nothing happens. I don't get healing, I don't get anyone looking at me, so I just have to run towards health packs, and I'm just too slow to.
Unluck.
So I have to hit like nutty shots all the time to even stay alive when they have a single Hammond or a single Winston or a single Genji.
Also, really, a free elo way to climb in any rank. If the enemy is running a Hammond, go Sombra.
Yeah.
Just hack
Literally
him
go
forehead.
Sombra, hack, actually, like, focus him. Like, focus the hacks solely on him, and I bet, like, you're always up one. Because the Hammond will just dive in, and you hack him, and it's just done, because your team...
I finally figured out the way as well yesterday on how I'm gonna fucking do 2CP now every single time, because I'm just gonna play Widow until the final minute if they push aggressive or if they switch to full dive, like people always do in Diamond on 2CP. You see so many full dives. For some reason. I'm just gonna switch to Reaper, because you see so many Ball and Winstons go onto 2CP maps. They can't do anything with this 2CP.
Just play Rotes. Any other questions from now, or?
Yeah, for now, nothing really. I've asked the questions mid-session mostly.
Cool. I mean, if anything still pops up, then you can just write me as always.
Yeah, you're still talking assy, so you don't leave a lot of blank spaces.
Indeed.